of the other most powerful things that Vue has is these things called directives, which are special. So these things here, these are this thing ID here, yeah. This is an HTML attribute, yeah. So this is a thing in HTML that tells you like something extra about this div element. In this case, it's here's a div element. Let's give it the ID of app. You know, inside of H1, we could add in class, I don't know, title, and that would say, you know, give this H1 the class of title. Well, VueJS has these cool things called directives, which look like HTML attributes, and effectively let you do cool stuff using Vue based on the data that you currently have inside your Vue object. And the most simple and the most probably one you might be using the most is what's called the bind directive. And again, you type it out just like a HTML attribute. So you go vbind like this. And this V here indicates that this is a special VueJS thing. This is not standard HTML. And then what you can do is you can do colon, and we can now, after this colon, type in any HTML attribute we like. So for example, give Dan, what's your favorite HTML attribute?
Button.
That's actually, let's pick one for you. Let's go style, because style's the most. So let's go style, yeah. So style.
Oh shit! All right, sorry. So
if I do style in this div, yeah. this is not VueJS, but if I just write in style, I could write in background color red, yeah. This is CSS effectively. Let me take out this vbind just to make it clearer, yeah. So if I do this, the background goes red. But what happens if we want to be able to say now we have color in here and we have blue, yeah? What happens if we want to set the color equal to what we define in our Vue object? That would be pretty nifty, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And so that's what the vbind syntax lets us do. So vbind, and then if we do colon style, lets us set, this basically says, hey, take the style HTML attribute, and instead of setting it equal to like plain text, we can now type in here. We have to do it like this. Actually, we have to do it in a object. This is slightly. There's a bit of. I'll explain more of the details of this in another time. But we can now do background color here. And then in here, we can just type in color, where this color refers to the color defined on our data. And if I do that, you'll see that the background here goes blue. So this is, I'll explain more about this. This is a particular, I kind of thought of a good example, and then when I thought of the example, I was like, this is actually kind of a weird example, because in this case, you have to do these curly things with curly brackets. But actually, a simpler case, maybe because this might be kind of confusing. So if we define up here some, let me just define some styles up here quickly.
So Rob, for example, mine isn't changing to blue.
Okay, let's try something. I'll because this is kind of nuanced. Let me try and see if I can do
I actually got it working, but I realized the kind of quotation marks you use kind of matters.
Yeah, because you've got to do these have got to be different quotation marks too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So remember when I said that for object, you remember inside of a JavaScript object, yeah? I said you don't have to use brackets, quotation marks like you do in Python.
Yeah.
The exception is if you want to put a hyphen in it. If you want to put a hyphen in it, because hyphen in minus. Yeah, this is by default a minus sign.
Yeah.
You don't want to do background minus color. So if you're doing any sort of non thing like that, you have to put it in quotation marks.
Okay. Yeah.
The alternative, you can, by the way, and this is a JavaScript thing, not a Vue thing. you can also write background. You can take out the quotation marks and just write background color with a capital C, which is called camel case. So you can write all CSS properties which have a hyphen in it. You can replace with camel case, where you basically take out the hyphen and make the first letter capitalized.
Oh, I know that.
And that's just JavaScript. That's not a Vue thing.
Yeah.
But let me show you maybe a slightly more intuitive way of doing it, or a slightly more, because this object syntax is kind of special. This is kind of a unique case. This doesn't really come up. This is not general, and I realized that when we're just starting out, we should try and be general. So what I've done is I've gone a lot more simple. So you can see up here in top, I've set up a CSS style, and I've just set the background color. I've set up 4 classes here. So I've got this red, blue, green, yellow, and I've just set the background of them to be red, blue, green, yellow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, on our div here, I can replace this style with class. If I could get space in, class equals to red. Yep. And then nothing changes.
Yeah.
And if I wanted this to be blue, I could go class equals blue.
Yeah.
And so stay blue. But now notice if I go into this view panel, our view controller here, and I click on root, and say if I change our color to like green in here, it doesn't change to green.
Yeah.
That kind of sucks, doesn't it? We'd like it to be green when we type in green here. So how do you think you'd do that?
Say that again, Rob. Sorry.
So we've set this up here. This is blue and red, yeah, here.
Yeah.
It's only blue and red because I've just set class equals to blue.
Yeah.
If I go into color here and I change it to green, it doesn't change to green.
Huh.
So how would we, because, we've set up with, for example, hello Rob, I can change this to hello Rob is not a good person, and it will update it.
But there you haven't used the vbind thing, right?
Yeah, precisely. So what we need to use is the vbind syntax, and then in order to select class, we'd now do :class. Yep. So now let's refresh. Oh no, that's not. I saved the wrong thing. Okay, now it's gone red. So what's happened here is we've done vbind class and we've done equals blue, but blue is not a variable that we've defined inside our data. Yeah. So effectively, we go to console here. It says here you go. There's a warning here. View warn. Property or method blue is not defined on the instance, but is referenced during the render. So what that's, and it tells you here, it tells you localhost line 29. Line 29 is here where our view instance is defined. And so because blue is not on our data, it just doesn't evaluate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think we'd put inside the brackets to make it update?
Color.
Yeah. So color is the variable name. And then, now it updates to color. And now, for example, if I go into view here and I set blue and I set this equal to green, sets it to green. If I set it equal to yellow, it sets it equal to yellow.
Yeah.
And that's because that's not actually just the color. That's because we're just setting these classes up here.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Say you wanted to add, you can also, say you want to add in a general class that's just like, title, text, so I don't know, font family, I don't know, sans serif. So say we want to add this class to this h1, but we don't want to, we always want to add it. We don't just want to vbind it. You can still type in class title and it will change it. So you can have a class and a vbind. That's something to know. You can have both. You don't once you've overridden something using this colon, you can still have, another, this it'd appear again.
And if you swap the order, would it still work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, actually, let's just try this out. But I think, so in the case, for example, say, for example, we have two. This works now because we've got, we're not overriding the same property in CSS.
Yeah.
Now, I think, for example, if I made this yellow, I think we'd still see blue here. Oh, I keep saving the wrong place. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? Okay. I think this is a CSS thing. So I think the way CSS works is actually, you can see here in the inspector. So see here H1. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gone yellow, blue. So it's combined them all into the same CSS thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the way CSS works is the first class always goes first. It's not the last class. It's kind of backwards to the way you might think it goes.
Okay.
So I think if we put class yellow at the end after this vbind. Okay, no, it's still first. Okay, I don't know then. Maybe. Okay. I think then maybe the way VueJS works, this is the first time I've kind of noticed this, so I'm kind of going off a limb here, but it looks like the way VueJS works is that classes that you define explicitly, yeah, so here we've defined class yellow explicitly.
Yeah.
This always has higher priority than a class we vbind.
Okay.
So any classes you define here just using class yellow, this will override any vbound classes.
Okay.
So this is what you might want to happen. I can imagine if it goes the other way that you could end up with bad things happening.
Yeah.
Cool. But like, so that's really nice when you think about it, because I mean, I don't know if any of you guys know how to change classes using vanilla JavaScript at all, but it's
I think so, yeah, but
it ends up being a right pain in the butt, because for example, we'd need to take this H1, so we need to put an ID on it, like my title.
Yeah.
My title, and then you have to do your document dot get element by ID, and then you have to save it somewhere, var blah, and then after that you have to do like blah, dot append class, and then if, so for example, we wanted to change it, we'd have to append class, we'd have to remove the old class. It's just, and you end up with so many lines of code just to do something that's quite simple, and that's what this vbind is taking care of. That's really, really nice. It takes care of having to do all this stuff here. So I think it's 1 o'clock. So I think that's probably a good place to wrap up, and we can go into. So there's. So I think maybe we can have another chat either later today, or we could do tomorrow if you all guys are all burnt out. I don't mind. It's probably good to agree on. But then we can get on to kind of like the actual nitty gritty of, because there's a load of these directives. So we'll get into the rest of these directives. And there's also a couple more of these properties, such as data, that we can add to our Vue object. And then that's basically the core of Vue done.
okay.
Awesome.
So there's not too much to it. And then I guess there's a couple other things that I just want to stress on on what you can and can't use from vanilla JavaScript. But I'll talk about that another time.
All right.
So do you guys want to do it at like 2 or 3 or half 2 or something? Or do you want to wait until tomorrow? I don't mind.
I'm quite happy to do it later today.
Yeah. So 2, half 2, what's a good time for you guys?
Half 2 would be better, please.
Half 2. Fab. Okay. I'll schedule it in Teams again so that I can record it and then keep it. Hopefully, we'll go in the same place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll do that. Fab. We'll have a good lunch, hour and a half, just refreshing.
Cheers, Rob.
If you get bored, if you want something to do, I just recommend just flicking through these MDM docs, because they really are quite nice. They're just explaining just the core JavaScript.